Hello, and welcome to TubSports Episode 4. I'm sorry for the hiatus. I was on vacation in New York with Josh Liss and Carter Maiman. But to my left is Josh Liss, to my right is Grayson Poole, straight ahead is Zach Cahill, and to my far left, I have a new member of TubSports that will be announced later. So, Josh Liss, if you don't mind, go for it and take it away.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to Episode 4. We're going to discuss the topics listed in front of me. We have our special guest who will be a permanent part of our team. If you may not know him, he runs our social media page. And we're going to go through the D1 athletes. Should they get paid or should they not? Mike Mayock and his controversial quote about Antonio Brown being in or out. The Lakers center situation because of Boogie Cousins' recent injury to his ACL. Josh Gordon being reinstated into the NFL, along with the injuries that go along with the NFL. Team USA, their trials and tribulations through being not good. Pete Alonso breaking the National League rookie home run record, and how much further will he go? Bryce Harper, is he overrated or is he not? And to finish up, we will have miscellaneous NFL stuff. And now to get into it, to my left right here, we have Adam Smith.
Hello, everyone. I'll make it brief. I'm Adam Smith. I'm 16 years old from Southwick, Massachusetts, just like everyone else. I've loved football all my life. It's my main sport. I played it for 7 years. I'm a huge Patriots fan. Basketball, I started following a couple of years ago. I love the Celtics, and those are my main two sports. Don't really know too much about baseball, so you won't be hearing too much from me on that, but that's pretty much all about me.
All right. So Josh Sylvia, I'm going to throw this to you first because it was requested you talk about this topic. Should D1 athletes be paid and should they have an agent?
I think personally they absolutely should. Also, thank you so much to Eddie Martinez for the request. I figured since everyone's giving me so many recommendations, I might as well shout them out on this podcast. Thank you so much, Eddie. I think personally they really should be paid. Do you guys remember that game in D1 when Zion Williamson destroyed his shoe?
Yes.
Do you know how much the average ticket was for that game?
It was about $1,250 if I'm not mistaken.
Imagine that not going to the players. That is my standpoint. I think they need to get paid, and it's insane, absolutely insane that $1,250 per ticket. Where is that money going?
And to add to that, you're talking about Division I athletes getting paid. If you look at Duke's starting five, 3 out of 5 were lottery picks, and they're now in the league. You have obviously Zion going number 1 to the Pelicans, R.J. Barrett going 3 to the Knicks, and I believe it was Cam Reddish going 8 to the Atlanta Hawks, if I'm not mistaken. Those guys have agents and they're getting paid. I think for all the revenue they brought in, because Duke was extremely hyped up this year with all the star-studded talent they had, they deserved a cut. And if you look at a bunch of other D1 sports, a good amount of the players playing their respective sport get drafted, and they make money anyways. Why not get it started earlier? Because these kids are bringing in a lot of revenue. They're dedicating their however long they're in college to playing a particular sport. I think that they should be paid like a regular adult. They go to work every day. They work probably harder than a lot of people at home. So I think they deserve to get a cut of what they're worth.
Absolutely. To add on to that list, I'm just saying I know they get full rides. Like, we can consider that to be pay.
But a lot of
if
them
you think about it,
a lot of them go for a year.
Do you really think that they're studying school when they're grinding a D1 sport? Do you know how much time goes into the D1 sport?
That is a fantastic point. I wanted to bring up something from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Most of their basketball players were taking classes that were pretty much the equivalent of a 6th grade class to get easy credits. That's because athletes they have that number one priority. So school comes second. It has to, because we've got players who are going to get drafted. That's their new life. It's not going to school for 4 years, because do you really think a guy like Zion Williamson was really going to stay at Duke for 4 years?
What do you think? He's going to be an accountant?
Yeah, no, that's asinine to think that. And I'd like to bring it down to the other side of the table here. What do you boys think about that?
I'm kind of in the middle on this one, just because for basketball, I think it actually worked pretty well. But in terms of football, you've got 40, 50 people on a roster. You just got to kind of find the balance of how you're going to distribute the revenue, because a lot of a lot of prospects and stuff, they've analyzed this and they base it off of jersey sales, for example. Well, I feel as though it may add to the monopolies of big-name colleges such as Alabama, LSU, Ohio State, where they're already attracting the top talent based on the size of their market. To have that kind of added to it, yes, they definitely deserve it. They're putting in the work, but it just might add a more monopolistic feature to sports, in college sports. In the NFL, you can see that contract holdouts are already happening, far and few, but still they're occurring. And you just got to kind of draw a line of, okay, well, you got to put in the work to get it, so where is that line going to be? And you see, the JBA, the Alliance of American Football, they've attempted to do this type of thing, and it hasn't worked out as successfully. So will the NCAA be able to handle it? That's the main question that really needs to be asked. But
I think incentives would be a good way of giving pay to college athletes. So if you throw for a certain amount of yards or whatever your sport is, that'd be a pretty good way to get. So you have to earn your money. I know a lot of the guys, like, if you play well enough, you'll get drafted and eventually make your money. But with the full ride thing, I don't know. I just feel like they shouldn't get, like, a full salary, and incentives should be a part of it.
I absolutely don't think they should be paid $100 million.
Yeah.
Don't think they should get even paid $1 million. But they should get paid for the revenue that they bring in. You know what I mean? Like, jersey sales are a big thing in all sports. You see a crap ton of people wearing Patriots, Steelers, Green Bay, Oakland, just all the big market teams in the NFL. And talking about baseball-wise, we can go with, we could talk Boston Red Sox, Cubs, Yankees, Dodgers, just to name a few names.
Bryce Harper in particular.
Bryce Harper, exactly. He was the highest jersey sales this year. The revenue thing, like what Adam Smith was talking about, it'll be the same thing just like in Major League Sports. It's the same way. So, Grayson, do you have a view on this topic?
I don't think that they should get paid. I'll be straight out. They already get paid as it is. Like,
How so?
I hate to say it, but all those scandals that you see getting caught of schools offering them incentives,
Yes.
every school does that. And it's the matter of getting caught or not, basically, to the point where if you do get caught, you get screwed for it. But there's just no way that these big-time athletes are going to these places without incentives.
Okay. I like your point there. And so obviously our consensus here is, yes, they should have other sort of incentives, but Grayson brought up a very good point. It's a matter of getting caught or not. Obviously you have, the whole DeAndre Ayton situation from Arizona, the head coach calling him personally saying, "Oh, I'll give you this, this, and this."
Sharif was getting paid too. Sharif
Yeah.
just backed out because he didn't want to get screwed.
Exactly. And every player's entitled to their own opinion there. And also, go with other incentives, like Louisville basketball. That's not necessarily incentives. That's just paid hookers. I'm trying to be completely honest here. Rick Pitino, you're an idiot for that. But good coach, not a very good Celtics coach.
They get other incentives too, because look at Derrick Rose, for example.
That's not a. I wouldn't say
that's
an
incentive.
That's not an incentive.
That man shouldn't have even went to college.
Of course, it's not an incentive. Someone just took his SAT for him.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Not like he didn't get paid. He didn't get paid to not take his
but
SAT.
that man shouldn't have even went to college with his SAT score.
No.
And you know who got screwed for it was the school.
Yes,
the school.
And all
Derrick
30
Rose did not have any consequences, and
But how are you gonna track that down? What are you gonna give him a fine? He was number 1 overall pick in 2008. He's gonna be able to pay that.
you still should fine him. It's still his loss.
They
were national championship runner-ups that year.
And
they
they
lost
were
to Kansas.
They were a 38 win team.
And Calipari should be fined, dude. You know how many scandals that man has almost got screwed for?
He didn't get fined. Yes, but he had those wins vacated.
And you think that really matters to him? Like UMass,
The banner was taken down. They're not runner-ups
Yeah, no,
anymore.
but they
That's a
paid
huge
for it.
part.
But he wasn't in. He left. He already left Memphis before the banner even got taken down.
Someone because he's a basketball Hall of Famer. That's a huge point to have. Hey, I won a national title with Kentucky. I was a runner-up at 1. I should have been a runner-up at 2. It's just that my star point guard fucked the system.
That man is the dirtiest coach. He knows what's going on. It's
it's
like Brady and Belichick.
I know, but
deflating footballs.
Okay, but is he really dirtier than Rick Pitino? No.
Yes.
How?
I'd say giving incentives and cheating on SAT scores. Dude,
They
not
paid
even just
hookers.
that. Not even just that. I don't care, dude. You want your fucking nut in college? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but they were gonna get it anyways. Why do they need paid hookers?
Because you pay the hookers, they're not going to frickin' say that you got child from them and then have to pay child support for the rest of your life, other than the ones in college.
All
You
right.
ever see BMS? They poke holes in the condoms.
Yes, I know what you're talking about there. BMS is a great show. And Adam, looks like you have a point here. What is your point?
In terms of basketball, I'm not entirely educated on how strict the NCAA has a grip on the rights over the players. But in terms of the NFL, if you can look back to, let's just look back to NCAA football, the video game. Notice how they never put any of the names of the players in the game because the NCAA's rules and grips on the players themselves, they don't allow them to sell jerseys that have their names on them because they're so invasive on that. So to supplement paying the players, get that money from jersey sales in because you see people wearing college jerseys with names on the back. They're all from scam websites because the NCAA physically does not print them out because they are so invasive on that.
Yeah.
So
Very good point.
open up that entire new market of jersey sales, give them the money. That's such a simple solution. Obviously, it's more complex, but if they just loosen their grip a little bit, I feel as though they have huge, huge dividends down the future.
But where would the money go if people still buy it? Like, let's say there's like a college superstar doesn't translate to the NFL or NBA or whatever. Would he still get money for the jerseys post college?
Absolutely.
Still
yes.
get a cut?
That's a good
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. And we're gonna segue here from one scandal to another.
I got a tip before we move on
All
here.
right, one more point.
If you're ever playing a video game and you can't use those guys, just download a live roster. Saves the day.
Works out.
And
Sounds good.
And now we're going to segue from one type of scandal and controversy to another. Raiders GM Mike Mayock came out yesterday and was talking about Antonio Brown and his quote. I'm going to paraphrase here because I don't have it in front of me. Antonio Brown's either in or you're all in or you're all out. With the whole helmet grievance, his feet. I'm going to start with Josh Sylvia about this because you are a true diehard Raiders fan. What is your stance on your GM talking this type of nonsense about your best player?
Well, he needs to. Antonio Brown's not showing up. There's 89 other guys fighting for a roster spot, and he's sitting away due to a helmet. Those 89 other players are grinding, working hard, getting those reps in training camp and in preseason games. And I think if Antonio Brown is not doing that and he's sitting out due to his helmet issue, and then he starts week one, imagine a couple of the wide receivers in the Raiders who got cut.
Or a guy like Keenan Doss, someone who specifically in Hard Knocks episode 2, John Gruden was very, very high on. Just imagine if that guy loses his touches, he doesn't get the ball thrown to him, he doesn't start because Antonio Brown played hooky for the entire camp and preseason, only to start week one.
And then again, our training camp ended today, so there is no more training camp.
But there is what, 2 more preseason games before
Absolutely, 2 more preseason games.
The regular season starts.
So I'm just saying, Antonio Brown, his feet are clearly fine. It's the helmet issue now, and you need to find a new helmet, Antonio Brown.
And
you need to find a new one fast.
And we're going to wrap that up here. We're going to go into another another California sports scene now in the NBA. The Los Angeles Lakers, the center that they signed in the offseason, DeMarcus Cousins, has suffered an ACL tear, and now they are left with an empty roster spot regarding the center, which in the new NBA, it's not necessarily a huge issue because of the three-point revolution. But, having a guy who can protect the rim is a serious asset that a team can have to succeed or to flop. And I'm going to start this with Zach Cahill. What do you think the Lakers should do about DeMarcus Cousins going down?
I think they should give a call to Dwight Howard, even though it might be a little washed. He's still got a little bit in him, and he did show a little bit in Washington, even though his ass injury took him out most of the year.
And the thing about Dwight Howard is, so I believe it was Bleacher Report came out with a list of candidates. They had Joakim Noah, Dwight Howard, Marcin Gortat.
They could pull him out of the gutters.
They could. And they had Nene, Kenneth Faried.
Kenneth Faried would actually be very good. He showed potential in Houston.
He did. But obviously the standout name is former Laker himself,
Yeah.
Dwight Howard, who averaged 12.8 points a game along with 9.2 rebounds.
I mean,
That's the best stats out of anybody there, and it's not really even close.
I mean, I heard they had mutual interest reported by TubSports. Yours truly, Adam Smith. Thank you so much for that.
Yes, sir.
post.
So back to Zach. What would you like to see there? Would you like to see a new and improved Dwight Howard? Because obviously, the first time I went to the Lakers, it was a super team, quote unquote. It was a very bad super team. But there's not the pressure there. You know, he's the journeyman, not the top end free agent.
I think it's worth taking a shot at. Like, look at what the Rockets did with Carmelo Anthony. They gave that experiment not even a fourth this season, then pulled the plug. They could easily do that with Dwight Howard as well, and just move AD to center, and then LeBron to power forward, and then pull Kuzma back in the starting lineup if needed. Oh, and then put Rondo at PG. They could. There's a lot of stuff they can do, and Boogie could hit the three as well.
He could,
which was
and
nice. And I don't.
Dwight
think
Howard obviously is not going to do that for you.
So yeah, I'd say you could give Dwight Howard a call, but Kenneth Farrad. I didn't think about that. That's
he's a pretty solid
Yeah.
little option they have there. And Grayson, so you think they should bring back? You think they should bring Dwight Howard, or you think they should bring the Polish Hammer himself, Marcin Gortat?
Well, I mean, Gortat is getting a little old now. He's been a great wizard. He hasn't really been an outstanding player, but he is getting the job done for them for the past couple of years.
He's a suffice starting center.
Exactly. And yet again, Dwight Howard's career was ruined when he did go to the Lakers.
It was
That
bad.
was the worst thing I've ever seen happen. That man was on the top of the center game at the Magic with the Magic.
He was Superman.
And he came right out of high school as well. So he was young. And he did get the Magic to the playoffs.
To the finals.
Yeah, to the end they lost. They ended up losing, but they still made it. That's
to a
what
very
counts.
good Lakers team.
Exactly.
Might I add. And that Lakers team went back to back. It's not like in 2004 when the Lakers, who were at the height of their super team, adding players like Karl Malone and Gary Payton, lost to a defensive just outburst of the Detroit Pistons, who frankly never, were the same.
Back in 04.
Back in 04, and that was, it. Yeah, that Lakers team was legit. Kobe was still there. Pau Gasol was there.
They picked up Steve Nash from the Suns.
And Steve Nash was also washed. So, Steve Nash was pushing 40.
I mean,
trying to play point guard.
He was, but yet again, he was back-to-back MVP in 05 and 06.
But they did this experiment in 2012. That's 7 years removed, or 6, I might add. 6, I got to correct here, from his MVP season, which one of those was Kobe's. One of them should have been Kobe's. Kobe averaged 38 points a game. The NBA did him wrong.
Yeah,
for
but
that.
Steve Nash was also running with a washed Suns team. Besides,
they were not
Sean Marion.
They were not
Amari
washed.
Stoudemire.
They were not washed. They were the 7 seconds or less scoring offense led under Mike D'Antoni. That was Mike D'Antoni.
I'll give you that. That was one of the
party.
best teams that did not win a ring. I will
Absolutely,
give you that.
and Steve Nash should have won one.
Well, he did with the Warriors, but I wouldn't count that as playing.
No.
He was an exec.
No.
Back on Dwight Howard just for a quick second. He has humbled himself recently because he was a
absolutely.
cocky guy. And, his past 3 teams, he's always said, I wanted to retire there, and he obviously hasn't.
No.
But he recently just pulled up a quote on my phone. He said, I don't have an ego, it's dead. So he's obviously,
He's ready to come back.
Yeah.
He's ready to start from
kind of
square
like
one.
what Carmelo's doing.
It was-
or what
Yes, exactly what Carmelo did on First Take, that First Take special with Stephen A. Smith, the one-on-one, which, by the way, is a very good watch. If you haven't watched it, I suggest you do. Talks about Carmelo Anthony's personal life and his basketball life, that he deserves a second chance, not a second chance, but another chance. And I agree with them. There's 13 spots on an NBA roster. You're telling me Carmelo Anthony can't get one on any of the teams in the league? That's crazy.
He's washed.
I think it's smart.
But he
that-
could still be a
He
bench
wants
scorer.
big money though too, as well. Look at what Cousins was doing, taking a veteran minimum of
He wanted to win
5.5.
a ring.
Yeah, but so does Melo now, but Melo still won't go anywhere without that cash. He still wants that cash, even with.
I
the
think
ring.
Melo would take almost anything.
Because
I
you
think
could
he
even
would.
say he stayed in New York for a long period of time where they were making the playoffs consecutively, but yet again they weren't going to win a ring.
and they
The only
weren't
reason
good.
he stayed there was because of the
money,
high market
yes.
and the money.
Which,
Jared-
that's a decision he made.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
so
know,
that's why they don't
a
want him,
lot of
because he
guys are
still
going to
wants
big
that
markets
money, even
now.
though he's notching 40. They still don't want to give it to him.
Yeah. And Adam, do you have anything to add on this?
Just a minor kind of stipulation for the Lakers is that currently right now, Dwight Howard's rights are currently with the Memphis Grizzlies. So there is the possibility that if the Grizzlies don't want to release him, that the Lakers are gonna have to give up something to get Dwight Howard. Obviously not anything too crazy, but
Something to get him off.
yeah, exactly. It's just one minor
It would
thing.
just be a minor pain in the ass for the Lakers. Like,
It's kind of like
Not
what
like the
happened
major
with,
pain in the ass Dwight Howard dealt with. It's
Yeah,
Jesus.
pretty much with Joe Flacco leaving, they traded him to the Broncos for, I mean, not that much, but they still gave up some of it for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
and moving our focuses to the NFL. A few days ago, star wide receiver turned druggie, turned back into a wide receiver. Josh Gordon was reinstated into the NFL. It was said that he could join the team today. However, the NFL released something that was a little bit unusual. They released he is not fit to play due to conditioning, which is a weird thing to say for the NFL. I feel like that's a Bill Belichick training staff question.
Yeah.
It's not a league thing. So Adam, I know we both here are huge Patriots fans. What's your view on Josh Gordon, and what does he do to the overall wide receiver corps, which is bend but don't break of the New England Patriots?
I think that Gordon either makes or breaks the Patriots wide receiver core. They're either insanely deadly or insanely weak due to the deep threat that Josh Gordon provides. The Patriots haven't had a deep threat receiver like Josh Gordon since probably Deion Branch to Randy Moss. Obviously not the same caliber as them, but the connection that Gordon and Brady had last year, it provided a huge opening for the Patriots offense, including the run game. Now, with the Patriots losing Gronk, they're going to need the wide receiver position to be very, very, very in-depth if they're going to succeed, because Gronk is just an absolute force. But if Gordon isn't there constantly, because the Patriots so far can't rely on Josh Gordon, considering he's been out for 6 to 8 months. If he's reliable, if he's there, it's a huge supplement to Brady. If he's not, then the Patriots need to try and rely on N'Keal Harry, Demaryius Thomas, to be that deep threat. But Gordon also is really good at providing an example for the young dudes for actually being a good football player. Maybe not outside of football, but if he shows up and he's consistent and he's prepared, then he could be a huge weapon for Brady this year.
And he was a huge weapon in the game against the Packers, the Colts, and the
Colts,
Bears.
Nice catch.
The Colts game, it's a funny stat for Tom Brady. His 500th regular season touchdown pass was received by Josh Gordon.
It should have been the 420th, but it's me.
Okay, that's yeah. And to segue into the Josh Gordon not fit to do it because of conditioning, we have something on the injuries. And Adam, I'd like to have you take that for a little bit.
All right, we got Derwin James and DK Metcalf, each with their own respective injuries. DK Metcalf has to do a minor, I believe it was knee surgery, but
Yeah.
they're saying he's expected to be ready for week 1. Is this concerning, considering he hasn't played a regular season snap?
I don't think he'll be ready week 1.
I
That's
think-
just I don't think they'll play him
They
week
need
1.
they need to be cautious. That
They
is a
absolutely
draft
need to be
pick.
cautious.
They're playing the Bengals. They don't need him.
No, but if you're talking about a team like the Seahawks, who have a lot to lose, because their offensive line is terrible. The running back corps are
Yeah.
The wide receivers
They don't really
they have to have those wide receivers play, and a guy like Metcalf who, during the draft, he showed a lot of vertical speed. He registered a 4.33 in the 40, which ranked third among wide receivers, which is huge because he finished behind Paris Campbell of the Colts and Andy Isabella, UMass alumni, for the Arizona Cardinals. But a guy like DK Metcalf, he's 6'3", pushing 240, 250. He's a very big man who
He's gonna be a good deep threat.
where mobility and quickness off the line was a question to begin with. Now you add a knee. Now you add a knee problem into it, a stabilization thing where it might need surgery. I feel like that's a little bit of a red flag for the Seahawks.
Yeah.
They have to get this under wraps as soon as they possibly can.
But you don't want to rush him back.
No,
either.
absolutely
Yeah.
not. It's
Kind of like with Andrew Luck's injury.
Yeah,
They don't
you
want to
can't-
rush him back.
because he's the face of that franchise. DK Metcalf's not the face of the franchise, but he is someone who will drastically help. And I feel like a very good comparison for him, very early, and I have no idea if he's even going to live up. A guy like DK Metcalf is extremely comparable to a guy like Calvin Johnson, where Calvin Johnson made his career by running, end zone fades back, any sort of fade. He could run a post, he could run a slant, just being somewhat quick off the line, but his vertical speed plus his abusing size and strength carried him, and he was a staple in the Lions offense and a very, very Hall of Fame like go-to guy for Matt Stafford in the Detroit Lions. I think that DK Metcalf could have a little bit in him, just if he could get those 4 or 5 routes down to a science.
Do you think, let's say he comes back week 2 or 3, do you think he'll be number 1 wide receiver for Seattle?
No. I don't think so. There's still, I mean, but then again, who the hell is on the Seahawks at this point? I mean, it's Tyler Lockett. He'll probably be the one, I think. As a guy who, Tyler Lockett, I believe, is he a slot guy? I think he is.
Yeah.
Slaughtering out. He's a slot and sometimes outside guy. And we've seen slot receivers flourish in the NFL. Look no further than the New England Patriots. The number ones for them, it's been a guy like Wes Welker, guy who was undrafted, and Julian Edelman. Those guys run the offense. They make the offense go in New England. So I think a slot guy would be very important to Russell Wilson, considering he can beat you very well with his arm. He can beat you with his legs. That's something that Tom Brady obviously cannot do.
Yeah.
And to have another way of getting the ball out to a guy like DK Metcalf with the size, that'd be a huge loss if they lost him for the season already.
Yeah, and I think that with the offensive line being as bad as it is, and it could be better than we think, but I don't think so. With Russell Wilson scrambling a lot,
that's a huge an injury could happen if he takes a bad hit, because Russell Wilson, yes, he's a very mobile, he's quick, he's a strong guy for his size, but the size is an issue. He's 5'10", I believe.
But if Wilson has to yass it down the field, Metcalf's going to be a good guy to get those contested balls as opposed to Lockett.
Because also his vertical is 41.5 inches.
Yeah.
That is NBA Zion Williamson type bounce.
Yep.
And if you have a wide receiver who's a big freaking guy who can run a 4.3, who can jump with NBA players.
The size too.
That's why they drafted him. The biggest thing is that they used their 2nd round pick on Metcalf. Yes, he has raw talent because of the size. And considering that he has an injury this early on, that threatens the ability for him to use to his maximum ability his size. That's the concerning thing if you're the Seahawks GM. So you really just want to take it easy, just ease him back into it.
First training camps are huge for rookies.
Absolutely.
You see Brashad Perriman, he was a 1st round pick, he missed his whole first year, and he never really got back.
Yeah.
He had game-breaking speed. Now he's on a minimum deal with the Buccaneers. Probably never hear from him again.
And a guy like John Ross, who set the combine record for the 40, and he beat Grayson's favorite player over there, CJ2K's record at a 4.22. After he got injured with the Bengals.
He's on the trade block.
Yeah. Have you heard anything from him since, other than the fact that he runs really fast?
I think he re-injured himself.
He injured himself, and the thing is, I feel bad for a guy like John Ross. He was taken with a very, very lucrative pick, with a very good contract, being a first rounder, being a top 20 guy. I remember it vividly because I was watching it. It was on Sunday. I believe it was on Monday Night Football. His first play was a jet sweep to the right, got touched and fumbled immediately. Didn't get another touch the rest of the game. I don't remember him getting a touch for the rest of the season because I don't care about the Bengals. And talk about to finish up that, injuries are going to be killer in any sport. And for a guy, especially like Derwin James, to get back to him, Derwin James is a stud. He is very, very good at what he does.
He was the anchor of that defense year one.
And, here's just some things for him. He's got 105 combined tackles, 3.5 sacks as a safety, 3 picks.
Year one, too.
Year one. He has an 88.3 PFF grade, which is higher than Eddie Jackson, Jamal Adams, and Harrison Smith. Those are three safeties who are very
top of the line.
Very top of the line safeties. And now we're going to move into Team USA, the basketball team, who frankly are not very good because they don't have a lot of talent.
I think they'll still win the World Cup, just saying.
Who knows?
Yeah. I think a lot of people expect them to still be overwhelming favorites just because
they're from the USA.
Yep. But they obviously show struggles in scrimmages and stuff, so I don't... They could still be borderline the favorite, but they shouldn't be considered the overwhelming favorite
No,
they
God,
once
no.
were.
It's not like we're talking like 2012 on the same Olympic team with guys like Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant. Like those teams were absolutely disgusting. They were called that era was called they were called the Redeem Team for a reason because they reminded all of us about what dominance looked like in '92 with guys like Jordan, Magic. Larry Bird, even though he was old. John Stockton, Karl Malone, Charles Barkley. You had stars playing. stars don't want to play for Team USA anymore.
They may as well just throw Jaylen Brown and
Yeah.
Hayward in the lineup and call it the Celtics.
Exactly. Team USA now. And I was hearing stuff about De'Aaron Fox. Is he still with the team, or is he?
I
done?
think
he was
done.
done.
No,
He
he
withdrew?
is
He was-
done. Yeah.
He withdrew.
Didn't he get hurt?
Yeah, he got hurt.
That's another thing.
That's
People,
where injuries are killer in off-season basketball.
yeah.
Uh,
You're playing borderline.
Yeah.
Their final lineup consists of Harrison Barnes, Jaylen Brown,
yeah,
Joe Harris, Kyle Kuzma, Brooke Lopez, Chris Middleton, Donovan Mitchell, Mason Plumlee, Marcus Smart, Jason Tatum, Miles Turner, Kemba Walker, Derek White, and that is all.
Oh, I
And
didn't
let
even,
me- and
wait.
I'm gonna take
Is
a
it
look.
Marcus Smart?
Yeah, Marcus
No,
Smart.
He just got healed
Oh,
from his
sorry.
injury. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and just to look at this list, start from the top here. Harrison Barnes.
Yeah.
He's not an all-star. Jaylen Brown.
Oh, I forgot he was there.
He's a Jaylen Brown with the right tools put in front of him. He could be a borderline all-star. Joe Harris won the 3-point contest
Go.
because he tried.
Beat Steph Curry.
He beat Steph Curry
better
because
than
Joe Harris tried. Kyle Kuzma, he's trying to get a starting spot on the Lakers. Brooke Lopez is a good player. It's just that is he really a top tier center in the NBA? I would say probably not.
I feel like there's a lot of good and meh.
Yeah.
But it's not
No, it's not
Crazy
over.
good.
Like Chris Middleton, he's a very
All-star.
He's an all-star
right there.
Very good shooter, but for a guy who plays small forward, would you rather have Chris Middleton or a guy like Kawhi Leonard, Paul George,
Kevin Durant.
if he was healthy, or LeBron James? Donovan Mitchell, probably the team's best player.
Stud.
He's
Stud
a
right
stud.
there.
That's one stud so far. Mason Plumlee.
Hell
He's
no.
a very interesting.
He's an interesting guy. It's
His
just
name's
that
not
yeah.
even going to be in the topic of best players on that
No,
team.
I
I
don't think
mean-
he's not in that topic at all. But he's a borderline starting center in the league.
exactly. He's borderline, but he was hyped up coming out of Duke. Never really lived up to it. Marcus Smart.
He'll be pretty good.
He gives
there.
him
He'll be
defense.
pretty
He
good.
gives a good little defensive thing here.
I'd give him borderline all-star.
I would give
Yeah,
him.
fair.
Jason Tatum. He's definitely a borderline all-star. Definitely, he probably will be an all-star.
He's a runner-up for the best player probably on that team. Besides
Probably.
Kemba
What about
Walker,
Kemba?
we can't
Kemba
forget
Walker.
about
Yeah,
Kemba
I'm
Walker
getting to
here.
that. Miles Turner. Miles Turner's he's a
good.
top. He's a top-tier center. He averages 3 blocks a game, which is huge. He's
I
a
think
huge
he's
rim protector.
underrated.
He's underrated.
It's because he
Kemba
plays
Walker.
for the Pacers here.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I agree.
Kemba Walker, all-star.
top
Yeah.
5 at his position.
Top 5, Derek White, pretty decent under Greg Popovich's system, but then again, a lot of players are good under Popovich's system. And the staff is, the staff's the staff. Greg Popovich, the best coach in the NBA. Steve Kerr, obviously, 3 rings. And
Steve Kerr's on the staff.
Steve Kerr.
None
so
of his
is,
players are even playing.
exactly. So
Yeah.
is Jay Wright, head coach at Villanova. And looking through the rest of these guys here, we have
No names.
no names.
Yeah. And you're talking about participation. Now, when you look at this is for the FIBA World Cup. Next year we got the Olympics, and that's where the 2012 God team was for the Olympics. Do you see this as a recurring trend for next year for the Summer Olympics? Do you think that we're still going to have middle of the road players for the Olympics, or do you think that the big names are going to step up?
I think the big names might step up because it is the Olympics. It is every 4 years, an Olympic gold medal. That's where Carmelo Anthony made his career. He's the all-time leader in points, rebounds, shots. Got 3 gold medals. That's where he gets his rings
Yeah.
I think
from the
a-
Olympics.
A
So
big reason guys drop out for stuff like this year
It's,
is
it
they don't want
doesn't-
pointless injuries.
yeah, it
but
doesn't
they'll-
mean anything.
Yeah,
Okay, cool, we got a trophy.
Yeah.
We beat Greece in the World Cup. So.
You grow up oh yeah, I'm going to get a gold medal in the Olympics. You don't grow up being oh, I'm going to win the FIBA World Cup. It's two
No.
completely different stages.
and someone like De'Aaron Fox, he still needs to develop a little more as a player. So he should spend his time working on himself and not
And
with
developing.
the team. Yeah.
And to move on from Team USA, we have 2 things to really cover in baseball. Pete Alonso, first baseman for the New York Mets, officially has broken the home run record set by Cody Bellinger back in, 2017? He beat the record of 39 home runs. Pete Alonso has 40. By the way, it is August 19th. There is still a month and a month and change of the season left.
There's around 36 to 38 games left.
Exactly. He still has 38 games to get a few more home runs and to just push that record further and
I
further.
think he notches,
where no one else
I
is
think
going
he
to touch
notches
it.
50.
I think he can. He has a decent chance to challenge Aaron Judge's record in the AL, 52. He's 12 away. Like you said, 36 to 38 games. I think he's got a chance to at least try to get 50. I don't know if he's gonna
You
get 50.
never know.
You could have saw this coming, though. I mean, he was the home run derby champion.
He was the home run derby champion,
Yeah,
and
but
also
Vladimir Guerrero outplayed him.
yeah, he did. And the thing also to add about Pete Alonso, people should have known about him last year. He was very good in the futures game that they have at the All-Star game. He hit the only home run. He was the MVP of that game, and people should have known this kid's going to be an absolute stud when he comes up. And speaking of people who some people think are absolute studs, we have Bryce Harper. I'd like to open the floor to anybody who wants to talk about Bryce Harper. Is he overrated? Is the contract a terrible mistake? And does his walk-off grand slam mean anything? Is it going to make him become a better hitter?
I don't think he doesn't deserve 330. 13-year contract. My God.
With no opt-outs.
You
He's
can't
screwed.
opt out.
Yeah.
He's screwed.
I mean, he has 26 home runs this season. He's got 90 RBIs. I mean, 90 RBIs are pretty good.
Obviously,
Pretty
by
good.
his grand slam, he knows the hate he's receiving. A lot
Oh,
of guys,
he knows. Oh,
Yeah.
he knows. He knows everyone hates him. But, I mean, hey, Phillies fans don't hate him. But, I mean, maybe they're trying to build the Phillies around Bryce Harper. I think they're just going to reset their cap space after signing Bryce Harper to a big deal. And then a couple of years, you never know. They might sign another star. They might get more draft picks. They might trade for talent for the AA, single A, and AAA. They might build up their farm system, and then they could really be a force to be reckoned with next 5 to 10 years if this Bryce Harper contract works out.
And just the thing about Bryce Harper here, he won the MVP in 2015, where he had a stat line of, he had a year. He hit 330. He had 42 home runs, 99 RBIs, and a total of 118 runs scored. That is absolutely insane for a kid who was that young. But now let's look at what it's turned into since
I mean,
then.
he's batting 250.
He's batting 254 right now. So the year after, he hit 243, which is not. It's frankly for a player of his caliber, that's terrible. That is awful. 2017, he had a very good year. He hit 319, had 29 home runs, 87 RBIs. It's a very good year. Don't get me wrong, but not nearly as what it was in 2015. 2018, this was a year where it was his contract year, looking to get all that money, and he hit a grand total of 249. He under 250 as a guy who's making $28.5 million. And this year, he hasn't done much better. He's hitting 254. And he's above and beyond one of the strikeout leaders of the league.
He should get paid Mookie Betts money.
Mookie Betts doesn't deserve that type of money. I don't think.
I'm just saying Bryce Harper does compared to him.
They do compare. I think Mookie Betts should make somewhat near it, but not Mike Trout money. Mike Trout
deserves it.
Mike Trout deserves every penny he's worth.
And the thing is, I don't think he has any intention of leaving the Angels. 14-year contract, $420 million. My goodness, good for him. He deserves it. And I mean, if I'm just thinking about Bryce Harper, I mean, Grayson, your brother is a Phillies fan. Doesn't he love Bryce Harper?
Yep, you could say that. You just bought a jersey, too. Just came in.
Oh my God, he's the most bought jersey. I was in Cooperstown. I saw at least 20 people with Bryce Harper jerseys just in Cooperstown.
For no reason.
Yeah, I mean, why don't you have a Holidays jersey? But you want to buy Harper's? I feel like there's a lot of bandwagons going over to the Phillies after fans of Bryce Harper move over to the Phillies. But Adam, what would you like to add?
Just kind of a breaking news going on right now. The NFL just released a report that the injury for Derwin James was due to a accident during surgery back in college where one of his screws was bent that was inserted into his leg and foot, and therefore that is why he is out for 3 months now, is that they have to undo that. So that is the cause of Derwin James's injury.
That is
tough.
insane. I mean, one of our fans, her birthday's today.
And the very special guest today, it happens to be my mother. Hey, Mom, address the audience.
How are you?
We're all
I
good.
mean,
We're having a good time here.
They can't really say that they're doing good. I mean, we're kind of doing a podcast right
Drop
now.
down in
Yeah.
the comments how you're doing, guys.
Leave
And
it in the comments down below.
so Mom, I mean, obviously it's a big day for you. It's your birthday.
Right.
So
52.
and how
Khalil Mack.
and how would we
Ray
like
Lewis.
to how
Ray
would we
Lewis.
like to celebrate that other than a good old happy birthday?
All right.
All right.
Let's do it.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Darla. Happy birthday to you. Hey, Darla, thank you so much for being our first caller on TubSports. I mean,
It
that
is.
should be awesome. It means a lot. I mean,
That's awesome. Thanks, you guys. I really appreciate
honestly,
it.
no problem. We will obviously be doing these calls in the future. Obviously, if you guys want to text me at my phone number, I will leave it down below. If you want to be a voice caller, I'll call you up, and then you'll be on the podcast.
I'll call you
Alright,
anytime.
So thank you so much, Darla. We're going to have to let you go.
My
All
number
right.
will be in the
Bye,
link
Mom.
too.
Bye.
All those ladies out there that are listening, my number will be there.
Yeah, all right.
All right.
Nice for you.
All those moms too.
Oh, good God.
All right,
Joking,
so
joking. Janacero.
I think that wraps up our podcast number 4, boys.
I think it does.
Thank
think
you
it's
guys
good
so
one.
much for listening to our podcast. Follow us on Instagram at TubSports. Follow our Facebook at TubSports. And follow our YouTube at TubSports. Also, we will be releasing a website very, very soon. We will stay tuned. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube for all those updates. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight, and have an amazing night.
Wait, we forgot about hockey.